So you are a Moody grad. You graduated in 2022.
That's right. Yeah.
You're 24 years old.
That's right.
You've been on our Longhorn 100 list all 3 years. So
That's
you
right.
were the youngest, and I still think you're the youngest. I don't think anybody younger has come yet.
Every year I check it, I'm like trying to see if there's anybody else, maybe of the younger cohorts. But no, I'm happy to be a part of it. It's really an amazing group and just such a cool thing to be a part of.
And what's interesting is, so you're not only the youngest, but you're most of the times one of one or two nonprofits.
Yeah.
And normally I ask people, like, why did you choose UT?
Yeah.
You started your company before you even got to UT, or at least the essence of Day One Bags.
That's
right?
exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, so it was an Eagle project when you were 15 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And everybody knows, as an Eagle Scout, to become an Eagle Scout, you have to do a project for the community.
Yeah, I think the whole basis of it is to do something service-oriented, something to kind of encourage all those who are in your troop, or maybe even volunteers outside your troop, to get involved in your community and provide a service for your community. And I know a lot of really great Eagle Scouts who do projects. A lot of them do a lot of great building projects. I'm sure you've seen walkways with benches that have plaques on them, and it usually says what class they're in. And it's really pretty awesome, and it's a great thing to be a part of. And as I was kind of mulling over what I could do and how I could help my community, I had kind of tied back into a experience I had with my now adopted siblings. They came into our home through the foster care system, so they were all foster youth. And
so how old were they when they came?
Well, they came in staggered, because they're siblings. They're actually my cousins by blood, but they're siblings, all of each other. And they came into our home staggered. So we got Halen, my brother, my youngest, oldest brother. He was like pretty much a newborn at the time. His brother, a couple of years later, 2 years later, Hudson.
Okay.
He was like one, and then Holly, she was a couple of weeks old.
Okay.
She was their sister, obviously my sister now. So pretty young, but they all came into our home.
And you were how old?
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, because they came in staggered. I was 5 years old with Halen. I was like 8 years old, and then 11 years old. So kind of staggered with that too. So I got to experience a different flavor at different ages and saw the kind of nuances at different points in my life.
Well, and also you didn't know any different in some ways. You weren't like a 14-year-old kid where all of a sudden a baby was coming into your life. So it was kind of like what you knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So they came into your home, and when did you realize like they were coming in through the foster system, and when did that become like something that you were passionate about? Well,
I remember just kind of recalling, because especially at 5 years old, you really kind of don't really have a great concept of like, everyone has a mommy and a daddy, but I was told, Hudson and all of my now siblings, their mommy and daddy can't take care of them. We're going to have to take care of them for now. So I just remember trying to understand that, but never really try to think about it too hard. But then as time grew on, I kind of gave it more thought, and I was just kind of grateful for my parents to be able to take them in, because now they are, of course, I don't see them any differently than my brothers or sisters. And I'm very grateful for my parents to having to allow them to come into our home and share into that slice of our life, and my life has been made so much better because of them.
Yeah. So when you were looking to going back to the Eagle Scout project, so you said, okay, I want to do something for kids in the foster system because it's directly impacted my life. How can I impact this? And so you knew that kids going home to home in a foster system typically don't have a bag. They take everything in a big trash bag.
Yes.
It's a very known thing. It's like the saddest thing, and you're trying to change that, but it's just a fact that everybody just dumps everything or wraps it into a big sheet and just throws it over their shoulder. Just anything to transport, right?
Yeah.
So you wanted at 15, hey, what can I do?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a tragedy that a lot of them have such a like tumultuous like life that they have to pick up whatever they have in their life and put it in a trash bag and get going. And a lot of it is just the caseworkers just don't have the time to like figure out all the situations and stuff like that. And so they're just told, here, put your stuff in here. We've got to get going. And I saw that with my siblings, and I kind of asked around, and I was like, I wonder if this is more pervasive than just kind of our instance. And it is more pervasive. It happens all across the nation, sadly.
And so what was the actual Eagle Scout project?
Yeah, the actual Eagle Scout project was 100 bags full of supplies, necessary supplies for a local foster nonprofit agency in my hometown of Bernie.
Okay.
And so that's how it started from there.
And so then you graduated high school, you came to the University of Texas.
That's right.
So we're finally there. So why'd you choose UT, first of all?
Yeah, well, I chose UT because that was also kind of a big part of my childhood. My mom went to UT.
Okay.
So kind of going to the football games as a kid, and of course wearing all of the UT apparel that my parents always got me. I always had to wear it to school and be very proud. So I kind of knew it was always on the table for me, and I was just hopeful as it gets more and more populated. I was like, I hope I can get in and
that's
make
the thing.
my way in.
So many people we've interviewed so far, like we were all like, oh, gee, well, it was like hard to get in, but it wasn't as hard as it is. And like you having graduated in 2022, you kind of were like, it was hard to get in.
Yes.
So were you like top 10%, or did you just have an awesome essay?
Well, I had to work so hard, and I was in that top 10%.
Okay.
But because I was like, I wonder if I can't get in this part, I'm like, I hope my essay writing skills will be fine enough. But luckily, it didn't have to get to that point.
Okay, so you got in. Where'd you live freshman year?
Moore Hill.
Okay, all dudes, right?
Or
is it co-ed now?
It might be co-ed now. It may have been all dudes, but it's the one right up on the hill over here.
Okay, and what were you involved in while you were here?
Well, I was involved. It's kind of interesting because although I'm 24, I spent 3 years here. So I graduated a year early. But then on top of that, I had a year dealt with COVID. So my freshman spring semester, we were told, all right, spring break is an extra week long. And we were all really happy about it.
Yeah.
Like, yes, let's go. We got another week. And then it was like, actually, you can't come back. So we were told, kind of grab your stuff and we'll try to transition to an online class. And so that's what it was like for that spring semester. And then that fall semester, a lot of classes were starting to kind of get back in. None of my classes were in person yet. So I was still online at that point. But then that spring semester, we finally got some in-person stuff. Anyway, to make a long story short, I found that I try to be as close to my faith community around here. The University Catholic Center over right near the tower has always been where I spent a lot of my time and met a lot of my good friends.
But you basically had like freshman first semester to like meet a lot of people, and then your world got rocked.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so were you still while you were here at UT building day one bags?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So at that point, I was still trying to decide, and how the story went is like, right, I was 15 years old. That's when the Eagle Scout project started.
Yeah.
And that afterwards, most people, of course, their project has a very definite ending. You
get your Eagle Scout, you move on.
Exactly. And you built the bench, you built the playground, whatever.
You put it in your college resume.
Exactly. But for mine, it was kind of one where I had received calls just a couple of months later saying, hey, we've already given out 30 of our backpacks of the 100. And of course that makes me thrilled, because it means your project's being helpful to the community. Youth are getting to use your the service that you help provide. But then on top of that, you're kind of the voice in the back of my mind was, well, it's going to run out at some point. And then what are you going to do? And so at that point, I talked with, family and friends and tried to discern, hey, is this something that maybe I can try to do on the side? Maybe something I enjoy doing, but as kind of a service or volunteer part thing. And they said, well, if it ends up working out, you should try it. So I tried to do just kind of in our local area, serving the San Antonio area by reaching out to all the foster youth agencies out there. And then more people heard on, Austin heard, the whole Texas kind of network of foster youth heard. And it's grown from there. And so when I was in college, we saw just dramatic growth. And at that point, we were underneath another nonprofit, serving underneath them. But right around 2020, we just were at the point where like our mission's getting big enough to where I think we can kind of make the jump, become our own nonprofit, and see where it takes us from there. So we became an official 501c3 in April.
While you were in college.
While I was in college, and then kind of learned how to expand from there.
So were you using any of your classes at UT? Were any of them real world helping?
This is actually a huge, I think it's a God thing for me, because I went into my degree not knowing exactly where I wanted to be, but I was in Moody, and I really loved my communication and leadership degree. And I just remember thinking, well, there's not necessarily anything nonprofit. They have a couple of minors that I could try to, work my way into, but maybe I can make this work. So as I'm kind of progressing through my degree, I realized there are a ton of electives and a ton of real world applications in these classes that I'm taking that are all about nonprofit management, nonprofit communications. And it has helped me tremendously. I mean, there are things where I go back to my old hard drive of college stuff, and I'm like, I'm going to use this for my nonprofit today. I'm going to pull this out and use it. I did this for a class project, and now I'm going to use it in my pitch tomorrow. So
do you remember teachers that were actively involved in helping you as you were building this out?
Oh yeah. All of my CLD, major professors, always, they wanted to know more. They wanted to kind of get me connected with other people that they knew would help, kind of offer great advice on how to continue to expand. Because obviously it's still a very small organization. Yeah. I'm doing it part-time because I'm a full-time student. So they had so many resources available, and it was just really, really helpful to have kind of the faculty be there to help guide me along this way. And yeah.
So you graduated in 2022, and then did you immediately say, okay, now this is my full-time job?
Yeah, I went to the board and I said, I just graduated. I'm now kind of at the juncture of do I kind of make the jump, go full-time? And they said, let's do it. So I made the jump to a full-time position, and I've been full-time at Day One Bag since 2020.
So you said the board. Is that a board for yours or the bigger organization you were part of?
So yeah, when we were first starting out, we were underneath another nonprofit, One Simple Wish, out in New Jersey. We had met them, and they do a very similar mission to us. And they said, hey, you're pretty small. We can handle all the things when it comes to donations coming in, help kind of guide how things are run on the nonprofit side. Yeah. Especially since, I didn't have much learning at that point. But once we made the jump to an official 501c3, we had to kind of assign our own board and get everything else ready to go. So at that point, luckily, I was at the point where we had a board for 2 years at that point, and I was able to kind of come to them and say, now I'm ready to make the full-time gig and make it more of a sustainable thing.
So you talk about that there was this growth, and when growth to me means it's because there's just so many children entering the foster system every day. So was it just so many kids that needed bags, or were you finding so many people that wanted to donate money, or was it both?
Yeah, I think a fair share of both. I think the main one is the need, and also the request are always going to come in. It's pretty common, but it's 400,000 foster youth in the United States, and so those requests for bags are going to be there, and they are going to continue, especially in a state like Texas, where the population's growing. There's a number of people moving in. There's a number of people that are people that are having children. That number is still going to continue to be high. And so the request that we received, via our website was continuing to grow. So we knew that there's a need that's always persistent, to organizations that we give into maybe a year ago, where we give in 100 bags. They're starting to run low, and we know, oh my gosh, they're doing great work. We really want to make sure that the youth that are going through this organization have backpacks for when they go back to school, or whenever they're moving, they can have a duffel bag. So that was definitely there. And I think once we had kind of told our donors and people that were interested in what we're doing, how important the need is, people have continually pushed us, and also been really helpful of our journey.
So what does a typical day look like? So I know a very small amount about the foster system, simply because when I had time to volunteer, because I used to do morning radio, I'd be done every day about noon. And so I had all this time. And so I would go to different foster homes in the city of Austin. My knowledge is everything is very disjointed, and that so many great people are doing so many great work, but you have to go in and find them all. So is it just you reaching out because so-and-so told you about a home over here and a home over here, and you're just saying, hey, I can provide bags. How many do you need?
Right.
Is that what it is? Or are you going to something up top that's organized by the state of Texas?
Yeah, it's actually kind of jumped from different flavors every single year. We really did kind of start out kind of that approach of reaching out to organizations that serve foster youth and saying, do you need bags? Or what does your bag situation look like? Some of them may have bags, but they're, they're used or they're pre-owned. Ours are brand new, and they come from a military bag supplier out in Bernie. They give they supply bags to on-base kind of stores.
I guess I should have asked that. Like, yeah, what are the bags that you're giving?
Yeah. Well, we offer a various designs based off of age and kind of age and also specificity.
Yeah.
So some want to have backpacks for back to school. You don't want to carry a luggage bag or a duffel bag for school. And others are needing it for when they're moving, so they need a bigger luggage bag. But it is the way we've operated is when we first found out how to kind of orchestrate giving the bags. And the way we do it is once we receive a request and we kind of vet to make sure that they're an official nonprofit, how are they serving these foster youth? We'll ship it directly to those organizations and say, hey, you've got 50 bags coming your way.
Okay.
Now, whenever a youth comes into your care, hand them a bag. They can use it however they need. It's got a lifetime warranty. And it's made in America. We're very proud of them. And on top of that, when when we were starting out, we were still trying to find out what bag supplier we use, because that's our main thing is like we're giving bags. And
when you first started, did you just like run over to a big box chain and buy like 10 bags?
Amazon, actually.
Okay.
First, it was like, well, as an Eagle Scout, it was like, I don't know where to buy 100 bags.
Like, Amazon, great. This is great.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, I'll do Amazon. And it ended up, it was fine. They were okay. They did the job, but I could just tell that if I'm going to keep this longer, we're going to need a more sustainable and also just higher quality stuff.
Sure. Like if you're going to have an actual business model and you're going to run a real legit nonprofit.
Yeah. So I was trying to look around, but nothing was really coming up. And then we were in a kind of a child welfare board, one of the organizations we work with closely. And they had said, hey, there's a bag supplier on the hill outside of, in our hometown. He does military bags. I wonder if he has anything for you. So I said, okay, I'll check him out. So I go and check him out. And his name's Jimmy, and I'm telling him about what I do. And I said, well, do you have any bags that you'd be willing to kind of sell to us or anything like that? He says, well, I've got these bags. They're in our surplus. The military changed their design. They typically go about $35 a bag, but I can sell them to you for about $1 a bag. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. I'll take 1,000. And so it was amazing.
Yeah.
And we got to kind of have a huge kickstart there, and we've been working with them since. And as the demand's grown, we've had to find other bag suppliers that he referenced and kind of said would be a great resource for us.
And I mean, like, your business model still is bags.
That's
the
right.
number one thing.
That's
like
right.
This is insane. There's that many children that need bags that you have not, and you've been doing this. I mean, no, not full time, but since you were 15, so 9 years.
Yes.
And you probably haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah, our numbers have calculated we've given about 220,000 bags.
Okay.
Which is just an amazing testament to all the people who love the work that we do and love the foster youth. Want to see them. Our motto is dignity and not trash. So we want to make sure that these youth are provided the dignity that they deserve.
What's been the hardest part as you've been figuring this out, building a nonprofit?
The hardest part is just dealing with the kind of jumps that you've had to work with, kind of unexpected challenges that come your way. For example, COVID. COVID's very interesting. That no one could really have planned on that, but something we had to plan for, and we had to figure out. Okay. Our model is really nice because we don't have to have people come to our own physical location to grab the bags. We can ship it directly to them. But then we still wanted to say, hey, we would love to see pictures of you handing out the bags, and we need to be able to we'd love to be able to see the results of what we're doing. But then on top of that, we are continually working with organizations that are doing great work, and some that just the need is, it's really hard when they ask for a lot and we can't fulfill it because we have a different campaign going on, or there's a lot of need in general at that specific moment, kind of back to school or the holidays, it's hard to be able to say, we can't fulfill, the full 100.
Meaning you don't have like the amount of donations to fulfill it.
Yeah. Well, we can say, okay, I see that you really need 100, but we can only give 50. And I know that's not exactly what you need, but that's what we can offer right now. And I think that's the nature of nonprofit work, is like, you're going to try to do your best to give as much as you can, and try to see if there's any way that you can continue that support to the community.
Are you like a one-man show?
No, luckily, thank God, I have a team of 3. And then I have, of course, a great board that's continually helping and guiding the process, and thousands upon thousands of volunteers.
And what are the volunteers doing?
The volunteers actually really run the gamut of a bunch of different tasks. Our biggest one, where so many of our volunteers are actually quilters, believe it or not. They are a part of our one specific campaign we have called the Adopt a Senior campaign. We give high school graduating foster youth, we give them a graduation gift set. So our day one bag, of course, and then we also give them a bunch of necessary supplies as they transition out of care. For those that might not know, 18 is the year that foster youth, if you're still in care, will age out and become an adult and are not part of the system anymore. And likewise, a very tragic statistic is that 50% of foster youth that are in high school will even go on to graduate. And then on top of that, only 3% will go on to go to college and graduate college.
And in the state of Texas, they can go to college for free.
Exactly.
But only 3%
can even go to graduate. Go to and then graduate. So it's pretty astounding that a lot of them either aren't aware or just don't have enough resources to make the jump to get to one of these schools that are helping to offset all that cost. And so we wanted to, with this specific campaign, give them that helpful resources and steps to make them kind of reach that next goal, whatever it may be, college, trade, or their career. And where the volunteers come in is they said they wanted to do handmade quilts for every single one of these seniors. And on average, we've got about 550 youth. And so 550 quilts are handmade, hand-woven, and given directly to these youth. So these volunteers do great work for us, because then they grab all the quilts, they grab all the supplies, and give it directly to these youth as they're graduating.
Is your nonprofit continually evolving as you see different needs and different ways that you can affect? So you started with bags.
Yes.
Now you're doing also these senior packages.
Yes.
Like, where do you see it going?
Yeah, we see it going in a lot of different ways, and those might not who might not know, and I'm assuming a lot of your listeners are here in Texas. Texas passed a bill just last year that's supplying. They have a budget amount made to supply foster youth with luggage. It's in the technical term is proper luggage. So the state is starting to work closely with a lot of organizations, including us, to make sure that youth are getting luggage. And this is huge for us. I mean, this is kind of a lot of nonprofits' dreams are to get state legislation pushed to help alleviate some of the need that's there, especially when the need is so high. So this is huge for us. It was a great joy that a lot of nonprofits that are like us, that are serving foster youth, can now know, okay, we've got a little bit of backing on the state side. So
how does that affect you? Does it mean that you have money that you're getting now from the government?
No, not necessarily. All it means is that we work very closely with the state now to kind of make sure that the youth are getting the bags, whether it's from the state or from us. We can kind of work closely with them. So if a request comes in, we can say, oh, you're in this region that the state will provide, and I have the contact for you. So hopefully, in theory, we're still working out the kinks. It's obviously very new. And so in theory, we can streamline that process, making sure that the youth get the bags way more quickly than if they were to just request it and have to wait a little bit or go to a different agency to get them.
And I think that one of the hardest parts about running a nonprofit, and especially since you're still like young, you're still new, you're still figuring it out. Who knows where you'll be in 20 years? is the emotional side of it,
Yeah.
and how big the problem is and wanting to solve it, but like it's impossible for you to solve alone.
Yeah.
So like how, I guess, do you handle the emotional side of every day people want from you and you can't always give?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. That's for sure. It's one that you're gonna have to, and I've had to kind of come to terms with, is like, just take the time to be grateful for the amount that you can give and what you've given in the past. And also just know that the whole reason that we've gotten this far is because of the generosity of people who care for the foster youth, who care for their dignity. And I guess when you frame your mindset of kind of being grateful to the past of we've gotten this far, only on the backs of the generosity of people who want to give to us, and of course hard work, but all of it has been through that. It makes you kind of come to terms and know that however this continues to go on, and however the need for foster youth to be served will always be there. Just knowing that there are people that are so generous and so kind that you barely have to ask them, and they want to give everything they can to making sure that these foster youth are taken care of. And that warms my heart.
Do you feel like there's still such a large population that know nothing about the foster system?
Unfortunately, yeah.
And is that frustrating?
It is frustrating. Luckily, now, I think people are starting to come to more terms with it. And now when I say that I work with foster youth, it's really not, I don't see it as as something that people maybe not are kind of nervous to talk about because they know nothing about. I think they know kind of a general idea of what it is. I think they know that maybe the system has a lot of flaws and certainly some areas of growth. But I think there's also kind of high points where, like, this legislation passed, where that's a great deal that we are really happy that the state is working to make sure to rectify some of these issues. And so many different organizations, volunteer organizations are doing really great work. I mentioned the child welfare boards. They're awesome work, and they do working closely with the state to make sure that these youth are taken care of in all aspects of their lives, not just bags.
Who's your mentor? Do you have mentors?
I do have mentors. I mean, like I mentioned, professors were super helpful to making sure that I understand the kind of the basics of how to start, how to run the nonprofit.
Yeah.
So that was huge starting out. And then, frankly, working closely with other foster youth organizations, asking them, hey, where are you getting any funding from these organizations? Are you, how are you supplying to these youth, and what do you see the needs changing? That's been a big one, because my biggest thing and I've come to realize this, is I don't want to fulfill a need that the youth aren't asking for.
Oh yeah. Like we always assume that we know what they need or want, not just in life. Sometimes we forget to ask.
Exactly. And that was kind of my biggest worry, is like, I don't want to do something, maybe even with our, adoptive senior kids, I don't want to do something for them. And they're like, I didn't need, this. And I appreciate it, but it's not, it's just kind of added stuff that I'm having a hard time carrying around anyway.
How do you ask? Because you don't always have access to just like walk into a facility.
Yeah.
So how do you ask?
We have multiple ways. One is when we serve a foster youth, we ask them if they'd like to share their story with us. Mm-hmm. We have a website that they can come and go and respond how they appreciated their gift. What about it made them, feel dignity. And then also kind of where's the need for them. And then also we work closely with partners. We find out other organizations that do house foster youth or have them coming into their location often. And we ask them, hey, what do you see the trend is that's happening right now? And, the trend kind of continually grows. But at a moment's notice, we can call them up and say, what do you see that's big right now? And they say, oh, socks. Well, socks are always an important one. But shampoo or or backpacks, like for back to school, all that kind of stuff.
And I think it's like really important because you said new bags and it's new shampoo. And I know when you've asked before, it's not like low end, like it's not, no offense, it's not suave.
Yes.
And that's great too. But you're looking for stuff that we too would want, like that we would want, because we want it to be good quality. Yes. And so you want to also pass that along to the foster youth.
Exactly. Yeah. We want something that, they can use universally. Like our backpacks are pretty nondescript. There's not too much on them. Yeah. They can be used in multitude of ways. But also, they can carry a lot of good things and supply whatever they might need.
What do you think is something that surprises people about the foster system when you start telling them about these kids?
I mean, the easy one would be that foster youth are given trash bags. I think that's one that's not very intuitive. But on top of that, I'm smiling because I think it's always so amazing. One of my favorite parts about doing it is we do get to see some of the foster youth that we get to serve. Yeah. So when there's a big campaign or kind of the Adopt a Senior kits, a lot of the times the regions that serve these youth will have a graduation party for all the youth that graduate to come together. They get to know each other, and we get to go. So when we go, I just remember a couple of times we hand off these gifts to them, and a lot of them will come to me and say, "Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. When do I need to give it back to you?" And I say, "Oh no, it's yours. Yeah. It's yours to keep." And they said, "Really?" And I said, "Yes, it's yours." Like and they said, "Was it anybody else's before?" And nope, it's brand new stuff. This is all yours to keep.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them are kind of very grateful, but obviously the fact that they have to even ask, like, when do I need to return this? What's kind of the catch?
Yeah.
Is kind of sad. I'm smiling because it's always so sweet to see their faces. Sure. It's so sweet to see how amazing and how resilient they are.
So how can Longhorns help?
Yes. Well,
and I think that people like to help in a lot of ways. Like people, I think, want to help with money and time.
Mm-hmm.
So how can Longhorns help?
Yeah. Well, of course, as with many nonprofits, they always say we are always appreciative of donations.
Because you're also a fundraiser.
Yes, of course. So we always appreciate donations. Our website is the best way to reach us, day1bags.org. That's DAY 1 bags.org. And on top of that, we have all our social media sites that you can mention us at. Our handle is day1bags. But we also really appreciate the volunteer time. I mentioned that a lot of volunteers kind of do quilting, but some will do kind of arts and crafts for us. We have, sometimes just this past month we did Valentine's Day gifts, and then in the Christmas time we do Christmas in July. We kind of get everybody excited for the Christmas time for our youth to receive gifts for Christmas time. And so that's a big one too. So all the information that we have, especially a lot on our campaigns, is on our website, and of course on our social medias. We really like to keep up to date of what our daily activities we're doing, and in
just
that way.
So everybody knows, like, you're not just doing this for kids in the state of Texas, you're doing it for kids all over the United States.
Yes.
And it's been 250,000 bags so far,
I think
take?
It's like 250. I think we're at like 240, something like that.
We're just rounding
240,000 bags. Yeah, it's really awesome. And we've served over 47 states.
And 500 kids are entering foster care every week.
I'm remembering the amount per week. That sounds about right. But I know that the overall United States is 400,000 over the year, and that's just going in and then going out. Some are going in and more are going out. So I just know that the need will always be there, and a lot of great organizations are doing just amazing work.
So the goal of this podcast obviously is to highlight Longhorn business leaders and entrepreneurs, and I think it's really important that we're highlighting all different types of entrepreneurs and all different parts of their entrepreneur journey, because if we just did somebody who's the CEO of a major company and that's it, it's hard to sometimes like understand the steps to get there. Right. And so like I look at you, yes, you've been on the Longhorn 100 list 3 times, but I still see you at very much the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, but you're already doing such amazing things, even though you just graduated a couple of years ago. Where do you see yourself? Like, what is the ultimate goal? Like right now, today, as a 24-year-old?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. That means a lot. I definitely feel like I'm a baby on the journey, just trying to figure out, the next steps.
Yeah. Like one day we're going to have another talk in 10 years and you're going to be like, I knew nothing. I knew so much, but I knew nothing.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I tried to keep an open mind about where these things will take me. Because if you would have told me in high school that I was going to be doing this, I'd be like, no way I'm doing this.
What were you going to do?
I don't know. I was like, okay, I'm going to UT. I'm sure I'll do like a doctor or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'll go biomedical or these different things. But I just I think I try to keep an open mind about where God wants to lead me into the future, and where I want to be able to support my family and all these things like that. I hope to be continuing to hone my skills to give back to the community. I found that it's a great joy to be able to say, like I've devoted a lot of my life, a lot of my brain power to making sure that I can better the lives of foster youth, and to make sure that they're given the life that they should receive.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in. You're a fan favorite at Texas Exes. Everybody just like, I don't know, you've always been such a joy to come into all of our Longhorn 100s, and we've all gotten to know you a little bit. And everybody here, I can say, is so proud of you. And they're excited to see where you go.
It's been such a joy to be able to be a part of it. I feel very honored and blessed.
Well, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em horns.
Thank you.